right, good morning and welcome back. Today we are going to be doing 7.5 notes. Okay, so kind of taking what we did yesterday and upping the level of difficulty. Okay, and the reason this is going to be more difficult is because instead of just having like a theta in here or an x as Delta Math showed it, we now have 1/5 x. Okay, so I don't know if you guys remember back when we said that the number right in here, that's our b term, and that influences our period. Okay, so to figure out, remember our period is like what's one cycle or one rotation through all of the iterations. So in this case, it's from 0 to 10 pi. You might be a little confused why to 10 pi. They just took 2 pi over b to find out what that period is. So that's how we would find it. And we don't really need to worry about that. So it's already done for us, is how the problem got it. If you are interested in checking it, so for the most part, we can ignore it. But if you ever get an answer that's not within that range, then something's up, something's wrong. But if you aren't sure, once again, the way they did that, if we think about it, 2 pi divided by b would be this term right here, 1/5. So you don't necessarily need to write this down, but if you want to, 2 pi divided by 1/5, remember that's the same as 2 pi times the reciprocal. So that's over 1 as well. We get 10 pi over 1 or 10 pi. Okay, so that's what's been done. Now, in our situation here, we want to treat this, the easiest way to figure this out, in my opinion, is pretend, what if instead of cosine of 1/5 x equals half, it just was cosine theta? So over here, I'm going to write, if we had cosine theta equals 1/2, this is saying that our x value is 1/2. And this is going to occur at 2 points on our unit circle. So we look here at pi over 3, it occurs, and then we keep going around, and it also occurs in here 1/2 at 5 pi over 3. So the two spots when theta is pi over 3 and when it's 5 pi over 3. Okay, now all we have to do is, instead of a theta, that's going to be 1/5 x. So that was kind of the original, what we did earlier this week and last week. We have 1/5 x though. So I'm going to put 1/5 x equals pi over 3. And I'm also going to solve for 1/5 x equals 5 pi over 3. Okay, so now, I don't know if you guys remember, if we have a fraction here, we can just multiply by the reciprocal. That'll cancel. If I do it to one side, I got to do it to the other. So times 5 over 1, that cancels. I'll do it to the other side, times 5 over 1. And 5 times pi is 5 pi, 1 times 3. So x equals 5 pi over 3. That is one of our answers. To do the other one, same thing, times 5 over 1. We've got to do it to both sides, times 5 over 1. And the other option would be 25 pi over 3. And if you want, you can quick check. So we got one answer here, two answers here. Are those in the range between 0 and 10 pi? And they're definitely above 0. You could check 10 pi. If we put it as a fraction over 3, that'd be 30 pi over 3. So they're both less than that, so we did a good job. All right, the second one. This one's a little bit more difficult in that now it's 2 sine of 2x equals negative square root of 2. So we need to isolate sine. We divide by 2, divide this side by 2, and now I have sine of 2x will equal negative square root of 2 over 2. So once again, it's up to you if you write this step or not, but if we had sine of theta equals negative square root of 2 over 2, we're saying where is the y value equal to negative square root over 2, negative square root 2 over 2. We know it's y, so it has to be down. So right here at 7 pi over 4, also at 5 pi over 4. Those are our two answers for if theta was there. So 5 pi over 4 and 7 pi over 4. And now just set that instead of theta, it's sine of 2x, so we got to set each of those equal to 2x. So if we have 2x equals 5 pi over 4, we also have 2x equals 7 pi over 4. Now, 2 is technically over the top of 1. Over the top of 1, we can still multiply by the reciprocal. You could divide by 2, but if we're dividing by 2, that's the same thing as multiplying by the reciprocal. And it might be easier with fractions. So this cancels out. We're left with x equals 5 pi over 8. That's one of our answers. We'll do the same thing. X equals 7 pi over 8 for the other answer. All right. So flip it to the back. A few more options, or a few more problems. Same thing, but now it gets even a little more complicated. This one has like 3 pi in there, okay? So once again, we started off the same. Just divide by 4, divide by 4. Some of you might be having a trouble or a hard time knowing when can I stop, when can I start solving. Because this still does have 3 pi, but notice it's in the b term. It's all inside of that tangent. Tangent is by itself. There's nothing added or subtracted or multiplied or divided on it. So we can go. Now, instead of 3 pi x, what if that was a theta? So if it was tangent of theta equals 1, you could check this out. This occurs when theta equals pi over 4 or 5 pi over 4. So if I plug both of those in, or sorry, instead of having theta though, I have 3 pi x, so I'll set 3 pi x equal to each of those. And now we can solve. Now once again, this is over 1, over 1. Just multiply by the reciprocal. That's the easiest way to deal with it. So 1 over 3 pi takes care of that. Times 1 over 3 pi. Now hopefully you see those pi's will cancel. There's one on top and bottom. So we'll just have 1 on top, 1 over 12. That'll be our first answer. On the second one, once again, 1 over 3 pi. Cancel, cancel. Times 1 over 3 pi. This time, instead of 1 over 12, we will get 5 over 12. The pi's cancel again, but we have a 5 still on top. All right. Number 4 here. This one, it's already isolated, so we can just jump right in. Okay, sine of theta, when does this equal 0? It occurs at 2 times. It occurs if theta is 0 and if theta is pi. Now, the reason I use 0 instead of 2 pi, remember, even though they're both here, technically it does occur again at 2 pi. We are doing the first rotation. So starting at 0, when we get around, it's right up to, but as soon as it hits 2 pi, we aren't counting it anymore. So we got 0 and pi. We'll set 1/8 x equal to 0. 1/8 x equal to pi. Then we'll times this by 8 over 1. Cancel, cancel. What's 0 times 8? Hopefully you know that's still 0. That's our first answer. Do it for the other side. So 8 over 1 times 8 over 1. And our other answer is 8 pi. So 0 and 8 pi are our two answers. Okay. So we're making progress. We got 2 more we're going to do. Same approach. So this one, we got to start off. Let's divide by 3. So tangent of 5 over 4x will equal square root of 3 over 3. So once again, what if we had the tangent of theta equal to that? What would my answers be? So theta would give me 2 answers, pi over 6 and 7 pi over 6. If you're not sure how we're getting these, go back, watch the lesson for 7.1. So that'd be last Monday, 4-5. If you go into that folder, you can find that lesson. Okay. So theta equals pi over 6 and 7 pi over 6. So we want to set 5 over 4x equal to each of those. So we will multiply that by the reciprocal, which in our case is 4 over 5. This will cancel. X will equal 4 pi over 30. Hopefully you see that's not in simplest terms. We got to reduce. 2 goes into both of those, so we'll get 2 pi over 15. Once again, multiply by 4 over 5. And we'll get 14 pi over 15. All right, just about done. One final problem. And on this one, it is a little bit more complicated. We got a couple steps before we can solve. So we start off, subtract 7 from both sides. That leaves us with 2 cosine of 3 pi over 7 x will equal negative 2. Divide by 2. It'll equal to negative 1. Now at this point, let's find our answers if cosine theta was equal to negative 1. Now this is a special situation. There's only going to be one answer. Cosine of theta, so where's the x negative 1? That occurs here at pi. That's the only spot, okay? So pi is our only answer. So if you need to make a note, only one answer. This only occurs when either cosine or sine is equal to either 1 or negative 1. So it's kind of a special situation. So if we set 3 pi over 7 x equal to that pi, and now we'll just multiply by the reciprocal, so 7 over 3 pi cancels out, times 7 over 3 pi. Once again, the pi's cancel out, and we're left with x equaling 7 over 3. And we're done. So if you need any help, please reach out. There is a short Delta Math assignment, so get started on that, get that finished, and hope you guys have a great day. Bye.